In the quiet fishing village of Ytshorts, Oregon, the sea fog rolls in thick and silent. Locals say it softens the world. It hides secrets. In 1998, one of those secrets was the body of 76-year-old Anna Mae Florence, found brutally murdered in her own living room. The mystery of her death unraveled into a web of betrayal, desperation, and an unexpected killer no one saw coming. Anna Mae was a widow known for her kindness and independence. Even in her 70s, she still walked into town each morning, grabbing coffee and chatting with shopkeepers. Her house, perched on a cliff overlooking the Pacific, was her sanctuary. She had no known enemies, no children, just a niece who lived 2 towns over and visited once a month. But on the foggy morning of September 12, 1998, Anna Mae didn't come into town. Concerned neighbors knocked on her door. When there was no answer, one friend entered through a side door and found Anna Mae lying face down in a pool of blood, her head wrapped in duct tape. She had been bludgeoned with a fireplace poker. The room was ransacked. Her safe was open. Jewelry and cash were gone. At first, police assumed it was a robbery gone wrong, but the scene was strangely neat. Nothing broken, no signs of forced entry. The killer likely knew the house, and maybe the victim. Detectives canvassed the area. No one saw anything unusual, except for one neighbor who remembered a man in a red flannel shirt lingering near Anna Mae's house the day before. She thought he might have been a contractor or repairman. The safe had been opened with the correct combination. Only 2 people knew the code: Anna Mae and her niece, Sandra Florence. When detectives interviewed Sandra, she was visibly shaken but cooperative. She claimed she hadn't visited Anna Mae in over 2 weeks, but phone records showed she had called her aunt just the night before the murder. Sandra said it was just a check-in, but investigators started digging deeper. Sandra was in financial trouble. A recent divorce, credit card debt over $40,000, and rumors of a gambling problem made her a person of interest. More troubling, Anna Mae's will, updated just a year earlier, named Sandra as the sole beneficiary of her estate, including the house, valued at over $300,000. Investigators checked surveillance footage from local gas stations and ATMs. On the morning of the murder, just an hour after the estimated time of death, a woman wearing a hoodie was captured on camera withdrawing $600 using Anna Mae's ATM card. The woman's face wasn't visible, but the car parked nearby, a blue Toyota Corolla, the same model Sandra drove. When confronted, Sandra admitted to being in town that day. She claimed it was to surprise her aunt for lunch, but she changed her mind when she saw no one answer the door. She denied entering the house. Police still lacked hard evidence, so they turned to forensics. In the fireplace poker's crevice, they found a small hair. DNA tests revealed it belonged to Sandra's boyfriend, Jeremy Phelps. Jeremy was a 32-year-old ex-con who had served time for burglary in Nevada. He had no apparent connection to Anna Mae, but when brought in for questioning, Jeremy cracked. Jeremy confessed to killing Anna Mae, but claimed Sandra planned everything. She told me she was desperate, Jeremy said in his confession. Said her aunt wouldn't loan her the money, and the old woman was sitting on thousands. All I had to do was scare her into opening the safe. According to Jeremy, Sandra gave him the code, her aunt's schedule, and even drove him to Ytshorts the night before the murder. Jeremy entered the house with a key Sandra had made. But Anna Mae fought back. She scratched his face, tried to scream. He panicked, grabbed the poker, and bludgeoned her to death. Then he took the money and fled. Sandra told him to lay low for a while. But the plan had spiraled out of control. Sandra was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and aiding and abetting. Jeremy, already facing a possible life sentence, agreed to testify against her in exchange for a reduced charge of second-degree murder. At trial, Sandra's defense painted Jeremy as the sole aggressor, a violent man who acted alone. But prosecutors had her cell phone location, bank withdrawals, and Jeremy's detailed confession implicating her. It took the jury 6 hours to convict her. In 2001, Sandra Florence was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Jeremy Phelps received 35 years after a plea deal. Anna Mae's house was sold, and the proceeds were donated, per her original will, to an animal rescue charity she had supported for years.